Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain episode 274. Andrew Eisen here, and we'll try to avoid the weekly free therapy session because I know I'm not paying you guys for therapy, so it's like I'm taking advantage of you when I do that. Especially my patrons. It's like you're paying me to be my therapist. Hello, Lindy. Alright, so, title of today's episode should tell you everything you need to know. The Book of Boba Fett, which we'll talk about later in the show, I thought was bad. By far the worst of the Star Wars television shows. I keep going back and forth on whether I would put it below Visions, the anime anthology, and I think I would. But we'll talk about that a little later. Another disappointment for me this week was the Nintendo Direct. First Nintendo Direct of the year. You might think, ooh, Nintendo Direct, there's some things I want to know about. Are we going to learn about Breath of the Wild 2? No. Oh, well, I mean, it's only been, 5 years since the last game. They need some time to work on that, I'm sure. How about Bayonetta 3? It's been about 5 years. No. Oh, not. Well, surely Metroid Prime 4. Surely you've got no. Oh, how about the Mario movie? You have anything to say about that? Nope. Oh. Well, okay. I mean, those aren't the only games upcoming. They're certainly the ones I'm most interested in. So, little disappointed that no mention of any of them. Maybe they want to save them for E3. I mean, it's a 40-minute presentation. Lots of games. So, let's go through them, shall we? And, funny thing happened. I put on Twitter, I said, I'll do a reaction video, because those are fun. I really shouldn't have announced that, because now I have a pretty flat affect unless I'm purposefully emoting. So whether I found the Nintendo Direct exciting or not, I'd have pretty much the same expression. I don't cheer. I rarely laugh or smile. I'm a very dull human being. But I always find the juxtaposition between the excitement of Nintendo video game news and my flat affect to be funny. Your mileage may vary. But when pairing my flat affect with a kind of a meh presentation, it's just not funny. And I had nothing really to say about it. So I didn't want to do the video. But I said I was going to do it. So I did it anyway. It's one of my better performing videos of late, too. So, okay. Alright. It starts out with Fire Emblem. Oh, hey. Three Houses was a big hit. So, it's another Warriors Fire Emblem. Why? Did anybody like Fire Emblem Warriors? Because I thought it looked terrible. And I've heard really nobody talk about it. Now, maybe people love it and they just aren't saying so where I can hear them. That's possible. But another Fire Emblem Warriors game. Why? What makes the Musou games entertaining is, or rather, what makes a good Musou game, I feel, is, one, a variety of protagonists with which to lay the smackdown. And I do mean variety. I don't think, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles wouldn't work too well because... they would work. Let me think. Ghostbusters Warriors. How do you differentiate the main cast? They're just people with laser throwers, which is neat, but whether you're playing... Ghostbuster A or Ghostbuster B. It's just a person with a laser thrower. You know? But when you have Dragon Quest Warriors or Hyrule Warriors, you have this wonderfully diverse and interesting, varied cast of characters with which to beat the snot out of. Number two, a wide variety of interesting enemies to smack around. In Dragon Quest, you've got this whole pantheon of awesome enemies, from the slimes to the wyverns and golems and dragons and all that kind of stuff. In Zelda, you've got the Stalfos and Keese and bokoblins and all kinds of neat, varied enemies, and also, big enemies. Dragon Quest, you can do the golems and all the really large enemies, the dragons and stuff. In Hyrule Warriors, you had Goma and the Dodongo and Ganon as the giant bosses. But in Fire Emblem Warriors, dudes with swords, or spears, or bows, or staves. There's a bit of variety, but it's just armored dudes with, a sword or a spear or whatever the third one is. So it's not that. So the difference between the protagonists is not as pronounced. They're not as visually interesting. They're not gameplay wise as differentiated as they are in some of the other Warriors games. But what about the enemies? Just a bunch of dudes. Just a bunch of dudes. Just a boring bunch of dudes. Just dudes. Dudes in armor. It's boring. And that's why I think Fire Emblem Warriors is not good. Even though I've not played it. It just looks boring, and from what I've heard from people who actually did play it, yeah, it's not very good. It's just not very interesting. It's not terrible from what I understand. It's just not good. I don't think Fire Emblem lends itself to the Musou formula very well. However, this one, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, they did seem to add some giant monsters in there, so that's something. Creative Venting Podcast, there we go. Catwo says, we can't fix Boba Fett. We can't fix Nintendo either. Yep. Chicago says, to be fair, the direct was supposed to be for games coming out in the first 6 months of the year. Well, I mean, it did say mostly. The game I found surprising, says Anime Momo, was Star Wars Force Unleashed. Did not expect that. I'm surprised it's just Force Unleashed and not like... Because they had a compilation. They're like, oh, hey, the Kingdom Hearts collection, and the Klonoa collection, and the Portal collection. No, you only get the first Force Unleashed. Front mission first and second. It's just the first Force Unleashed. Oh, okay. I'm going over my notes here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just... Oh, Assassin's Creed, the SEO collection. Just the first Star Wars and Force Unleashed. It's not including the second one, which... Don't know why not. Free Hopes could have just been paid DLC for current Fire Emblem Warriors. I mean, either... I hope it's good, and I hope Fire Emblem fans enjoy it. It looks boring to me. Now, to be fair, I've never been into Fire Emblem anyway, and that's where the Musou Warriors games really shine, is when they use an IP that you're a fan of, like, Dragon Quest or The Legend of Zelda. Still need to play Age of Calamity, although it looks like it runs terribly. Anyway, Fire Emblem Warriors. Cool. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. I do like that name. Are we getting a new game? No, we're just bringing back some old ones. Okay. Some people haven't played them. Not everyone's as old as me. Good games. Not caring for the updated art style. Now, the 2D character portraits and animations are really slick, but the updated... the unit and field graphics looks kind of like cheap mobile game to me. I just don't like the style. It's not that it's cartoony. It should be. I just don't like it. Sure, it plays just fine, though. No Man's Sky. At least it's a game now with actual stuff to do, unlike when it first released, and there was just... It was one of those games where a lot of people, myself included, looked at it and went, okay, but what do you do, though? Well, you fly around and visit planets. And do what? What do you do? Well, you just... You can scan stuff. Why? You know, they did add game to the game, so that's good. It's a shame that forget the name of the Happy something or other, the company behind it, but they did lie about what that game was going to be. Oh yeah, you're gonna meet with other people who are wandering around. No, you're not. At least not at first. Maybe that does that now, but I know a lot of people who just absolutely love No Man's Sky, and I'm very happy for them. But at least it looks like a game with stuff to do now. So now you can play it on the Switch. Yay! So here's a surprise: Mario Strikers Battle League. So bringing the Mario Soccer game back. That's pretty neat. It's got a nice style to it. I don't know what to think about it. It looks like you are stuck with Boom Boom as the goalie. If that's the proper name for that position in football. The person who guards the net. Is it a goalie? I don't know. I don't play sports. I don't watch sports. I don't even play sports video games. And Rosalina glides. But it's an attractive game. So... I mean, hey, I'm sure it'll be fun. Trying to type on your phone, I know how that is. Like, if I had to send an email, I would go home. You know, it's like, no, not even going to try on my phone. I'll just send an email when I get home. And I can do it on a keyboard. Splatoon 3. They didn't show any of the game. They showed the new version of Salmon Run, which... looks exactly like Salmon Run in Splatoon 2, just with some new enemies. Cool. If you're a fan of Splatoon, I'm sure it looks really cool. So we're getting remakes of Front Mission and 1 and 2, which is great. I don't think I've ever heard of these games. That's rare that I've not heard of something. You're in battle mechs and you battle mechs, and you can target pieces, and they demoed that by targeting the enemy mech's crotch, which I thought was very funny because I'm 12 years old. Disney Speedstorm is just a racing game with Disney and Pixar characters. So Mario Kart with Disney and Pixar characters. And they said it's a free-to-play game, which automatically makes me go, ooh, I don't trust you. No. Is it going to be ads? Is it going to be microtransactions? Is it going to be both? Just sell a game. I don't like this free-to-play stuff. Because the entire game industry should cater to my wants and whims, you see. Yeah, that certainly I'm not into racing games anyway, but that free-to-play stuff, that gives me pause. Now, Force talked about Star Wars Force Unleashed. Hey, I wrote IGN's guides for both of the Force Unleashed games. Or the Wii versions, anyway, because the games were different on the Wii. And I'm guessing these are the Wii version. This is the Wii version. And I had a lot of fun writing that strategy guide because the story is really dumb. So I had a lot of fun making fun of the story as I wrote the guide. Catwo says, I think they announced a game that is streamed, not running native. It's the Kingdom Hearts trilogy is cloud versions. We'll get there. Let's see. Assassin's Creed, the Ezio collection. Because somehow no one's gotten sick of Assassin's Creed yet. You know, I love Mario, but if they released a Mario game every single year and it was pretty much the same as the last one, I think I'd get sick of it. On the other hand, we've been getting Yakuza or Ryuga Gotoku games almost every year, and they're very similar, and I'm not sick of those yet. So, if you like Assassin's Creed, then you like Assassin's Creed. Me, I've never been into it. SD Gundam Battle Alliance. Chibi Gundam Battles. Nifty. Chrono Cross Remaster. You have to be very careful remaking PS1 games. If you're going to remake a PS1 game, probably going to have to go the Final Fantasy VII route. Because if you don't, and you go the route that they did with Chrono Cross, it looks terrible. So instead of just looking like garbage, like every PS1 title did, because the PS1 was a bad system that couldn't draw, a bad system that had some great games on it, no doubt. But the PlayStation 1 couldn't draw straight lines. It's a bad system with ugly, ugly games. But they've cleaned up the visuals, which instead of just being ugly now, just a pixelated, blurry mess, now it's just really janky looking. And the characters are kind of like vibrating because they don't attach to the background, which they seem to be floating in front of now, instead of walking on. Oh, it looks awful. It's a great game. It's a classic for a reason, but good God, does it look terrible. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Kirby game. It's Kirby. Do you like Kirby? It's Kirby. So the gimmick this time is Kirby can swallow really large objects, like a car or a vending machine. Cool. When he swallows large objects, he's deformed because I guess he can't just pocket dimension whatever he swallowed. It's too big. So he takes kind of the shape of whatever he swallows. So if he swallows a car, he turns into kind of a car cover, which is neat. Except he swallows it from the back, which makes it weird. The car should pick up, rotate, and go in that way. And then he flops forward. That would make a little bit more sense, I think. But whatever. It's cute. The Show 22, Baseball. It's baseball. Ever seen a baseball video game before? That's this. Do you like baseball video games? I'm sure it's fine. Baseball video games bore you? This is probably not going to change your mind. Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 collection. This is the cloud. So you have to be connected to the internet because you're streaming them from some other server. If it works, then I'm sure it's fine. I love me my Disney and my Pixar's, but I'm often kind of ambivalent about Final Fantasy, and the Kingdom Hearts games just have never looked actually mechanically fun to play to me. I like the aesthetic, for the most part, but they just don't look fun to play. And from what I understand, the story is obnoxiously terrible. Like, absolutely nonsensical and dumb. I don't know, I haven't played them, but if you have to have an explainer and a wall with red string going all over the place to explain your narrative, you're not doing it very well. If anyone has to consult outside sources to understand what the hell the story is, you're doing it wrong, says I. Siberian Tiger says, I think the PS1 lacked a Z buffer, hence the texture warping. Honestly, I don't remember, but that could be it. I mean, that's not to say that the N64 games were particularly pretty, but at least the N64 could indeed draw a straight line. Unlike the PlayStation. I remember playing... I remember crawling through a vent in Metal Gear Solid PS1. And looking at the smeared, disgusting textures on the walls of the vent that I was crawling through and just dry heaving because it was so gross. I remember playing Tony Hawk, great game by the way, and grinding on a rail and looking at the rail just kind of do a sine wave because, again, PlayStation cannot draw a straight line. As much as we all love, have fond memories of Final Fantasy VII, honestly, I think it's overrated. It's a good game, don't get me wrong. It's just not that good. Ugly-ass game. Absolutely, unbelievably ugly-ass game. Really damn ugly. But all the PlayStation 1 games were. Oh well. Let's see, what do we got? Klonoa. Got the Klonoa collection. I hear they're good. They're certainly cute. I like platformers, but I've just, for some reason, Klonoa's never called to me. Portal 1 and 2. I've played them both. I like them. So I have no use for Portal 1 and 2. Tiger says cloud gaming, I feel, is not going to be good for the consumer in the long run. Well, you don't own the game, that's for sure. I mean, you only get to play it for as long as Nintendo feels like hosting it on whatever server it's on. Or Square Enix or whoever the hell's hosting it. So, yeah, at some point... See, all my games, I can just plug into... I gotta hook up my system, put the game in, and play the game. I don't have to worry about it being hosted anywhere or still being available. It's on my shelf. It's available. I like that. That makes me feel better. I agree that cloud gaming for something like Game Pass or something like that, sure. For Netflix or streaming services, that makes sense. You're essentially just renting something. And it's understood that not everything on the service is available at all times. It's just, if you want to play it now, play it now. It may not be available later. Chicago says Nintendo's lazy about remastering old games. They just port them over and expect people to pay exorbitant prices for old games. Didn't used to be that way. Remember the Super Mario All-Stars? That was graphically a complete remake. They remade those games. It was great. And then they used that name for the 3D games, 3D All-Stars, and it was just kind of basic ports. And it's like, oh man, that's... Have some pride in the legacy of that naming convention, Nintendo. Come on. Speaking of Tony Hawk, says Tiger, I remember first playing it on the N64, then on the PC, and thinking, wow, why is so much crisper on the PC? More clarity. Yep. Although, try playing it with a controller on a PC back in 2000. Or actually, when was the first Tony Hawk? It would have been like 98 or something, right? Or no, was Tony Hawk PS2? Don't remember. I'd have to look it up, but I don't care that much. Let's see. Only get to play as long as Nintendo feels like it. Sounds exactly like what Nintendo would love. Yeah. Remember the whole All-Stars thing? It was only available until like March of last year, and then I'm like, why? Just why? Did you want to sell them separately? Okay, moving on. So, Live Alive, Live Alive. It's a RPG. Looks neat. That one looks cool, because I've never played it, so maybe I'll look into that one. So, hey, one that I was like, oh, hey, that looks neat. Hey, we got one. Hey, you remember Wii Sports? Your grandmother does. So, Nintendo Switch is getting a Wii Sports. And you might think, oh, they're collecting all the games, right? No, it's only 6. Weren't there only like 9 total anyway? Well, I mean, they did get a lot of the Wii Sports Resorts one. Boxing is nowhere to be found. Um, Ow. I think tennis is gone too, but they replaced it with badminton and volleyball. Golf is gone, but apparently that's coming in DLC. That kind of sounds like a pandemic delay kind of thing to me, because I don't see a really good reason to do it that way. So 6 games. Bowling's there. They're using they're either not using the Mii's for the most part, or they've redone the style of the Mii's. Except when the hosts, whose names I can't remember unless I'm looking at them, demoed volleyball for no good reason. Because guys, it's Wii Sports. We get it. Don't need a live demo. The game is incredibly simple. Really don't need a live demo for that. That was a waste of time. You could have just skipped that. There were plenty other. I'm sure a lot of other. Maybe the Cuphead Miss Chalice thing could have used a live demo. Would have been fun to see some more of that. But really, Wii Sports Volleyball? It's like, I don't think you really got it. I think we're going to have to demo this for you. No, you don't. Bump set spike. Got it. That's literally it. Got it. It's fine. I feel out of touch because I look at some of the stuff, I'm like, who cares? And I'm trying not to come at it from the perspective of I don't care so no one does. But I don't know. Is Nintendo Switch Sports, did anyone think that's going to be big? I don't know. Let's see. Cafe Fox, hello. Let's see. The Mii's looked like they were there. Yeah, they were there. They're there if you're using your Mii character, but the stock characters in the background and stuff are not the same style. They're similar, but it's a different style. It's attractive, but it's not Mii's, which I was like, oh, they got rid of the Mii's or revamped them. And then they did the live demo. I'm like, oh, they are there. They kind of contrast with the stock characters, though, so it's a weird choice. No, Chicago's talking about the arms and legs. I mean, literally the faces. You know, the hairstyles and faces are different. It's not bad. It's fine. It's just different. Catwo says the live demo didn't meet the Wii Music levels of cringe, so we're good. Yeah. That might be the most embarrassing thing that Nintendo's ever done. I mean, it's like... I mean, there's goofy and silly that makes you go, oh, yeah, do that. And then there's embarrassing. The thing that makes you shift around uncomfortably, and you're like, would you, okay, please stop. Stop. You're making me uncomfortable. Please stop. And that was the Wii Music demo. Because, good God. Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival. It's the drumming one, which is fun. That's a cool game. As long as you have the peripheral, it's not as much fun on a controller. But it's a fun game. It's a fun little rhythm game. Triangle Strategy, I wasn't really impressed by the original demo, but should have another demo coming out directly, so maybe I'll give that a try. Cuphead is Cuphead. One of the bosses was one of the old bosses. I don't know. Does it come back? The train boss, did it come back? Or did they accidentally use the wrong clip? I don't know, but it's still an attractive game, and the new bosses look neat, so cool. Metroid Dread is getting a free update. Ooh. New levels? No. New enemies? No. New functionality? No. Hard and easy difficulties. So, hard or nightmare mode or whatever they're calling it. It's one hit and you're dead. And then there's a more forgiving difficulty. I'm sure some people will enjoy that. And they're going to be releasing a boss rush at some point. I'm sure some people will enjoy that. I already played the game. Really, really liked it. It's a great game. That's not enough for me to get to... Oh, I'm going to dig it out and play it again so that I can die more? No. That's not me. That's you, that's great. That's just not me. For a moment, I was like, ooh, an update to Metroid Dread? Neat. What you got for... Oh, new difficulty? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, something that's super simple to implement. You don't actually have to do any work. You don't have to really make anything new. Just, tweak what's there. And, fair enough. But, not exciting. Earthbound 1 and Earthbound 2, still, again, no Earthbound 3, because, again, Nintendo doesn't like us very much. Then there was a montage of some games, and there was one that looked really neat, and I forget its name, but it turns out it's a roguelike, and I don't really care for roguelikes, so certainly aesthetically attractive. Let me jump to the spot in the... Okay, so we got zombie something or other. I don't even know. Hang on. Zombie Army 4, Dead War. Okay. It's got a zombie shark in it. Looks like a shooter with zombies. So, cool. Getsu Fumaden Undying Moon is the game I was talking about. It's a very attractive game, side-scrolling beat-em-up it looks like. But apparently it's a roguelike, so... Yeah, probably not for me. Demon Slayer Fighter, I'm guessing. Okay. I watched the first episode of Demon Slayer. Thought it was alright. And the hell is this? Lego Games? Okay, it's a side-scrolling platformer with Lego peoples. Looks kind of generic, honestly. 2 Point Campus? Well, that's been around for a while. It's kind of a sim game. It's fine, I guess. I think that's it. Alright. Almost done. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Expansion. Now, this is kind of neat. They're going to be remaking levels from the previous 7+ games. And charging it for them. How much? $25 for 48 levels. About $50 per level. It's honestly not too bad. That seems fair. That's nice. And new content. I mean, because even if you've played the earlier games, they're going to look and feel a lot different in the the new engine, because these are completely remade. Especially if you're talking about a lot of the really earlier games. So that's cool. And then finally, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Because nobody likes Xenoblade Chronicles X, apparently. I'm the one who doesn't like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I haven't played it, but it looks terrible. It has some of the worst character design I have ever seen. My God. Oh, that is some unattractive character design in that game. But this looks fine. From what we saw, it looks fine. I'm still playing Xenoblade Chronicles 1. I've long been hoping for Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Switch. So, because the Wii U, the Xenoblade Chronicles X is a bit more ambitious than the Wii U could really handle. And granted, the Switch isn't that much more powerful than the Wii U, but Xenoblade Chronicles X wasn't dragging that far behind. It was really more just, load management and pop in and no collision on the cars in the city and stuff like that. Just some small stuff probably would, just a little bit more power out of the Switch might have been able to clean that stuff up. But here's hoping. So, Chicago says, I've never played Earthbound. What's the big deal about that series? It's quirky. That's about it. It's an RPG, but it's got a really distinct style and sense of humor. That's pretty, especially at the time, pretty unlike what we'd seen in any other game. So that's it. Sister 19 lol online. Okay, Stephanie. I've never had interest in that. Looks cute, but nah. Yeah. Hi, we're ever into Werewolf. Live Alive looked cool. It looked better than Triangle Strategy. I agree. I'm much more interested in Live Alive than Triangle Strategy. I know a lot of people are waiting for Mortal Kombat 9? Mario Kart 9, yeah, okay. But I believe it will be a Switch 2 game. Yeah. In fact, if we don't start hearing about Metroid Prime 4 and Bayo 3 and Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 at E3, I'm going to start thinking they're pushing those to the next console. On the other hand, there's not much point in doing a new console, certainly not this year. I mean, Switch is still doing fine. And just ask Sony, what's the point of having a new console if no one can buy it? So that was the Nintendo Direct. Not a bad Nintendo Direct. Had a nice variety of games. It was well paced. I would have done without the live demo of volleyball because that just seemed completely unnecessary. Because the preview of the game, it's like, here's bowling, you bowl. Here's volleyball, you volley. And they're like, okay, now let's do a live demo of it. It's like, no need. We got it. Got it. It's all good. Got it. Just unfortunately left me a little cold. There just was very little of interest for me. Then again, the Switch broadly has very little interest for me. There's just not a lot on the system that I'm personally into. A lot of great games on the system. Mario Kart 8's great. Splatoon 2's great. ARMS is great. Breath of the Wild is great. I just don't really like them. Mario Odyssey was really great, though. The Switch was, I think, the first Nintendo console that I didn't get immediately. No, that's not true. I think the Wii I didn't get immediately either. The Switch I didn't bother buying until half a year later when Mario Odyssey came out. Because there was nothing on it that I wanted to play that I needed the Switch to play. There was Breath of the Wild, but I could play that on the Wii U. I didn't buy it initially because I was waiting to see if the DLC would be something that I wanted and if I was going to have to factor that into the price. Sister ended up buying it for my birthday and I played it and I went, oh, I kind of don't like this. Like, I don't dislike it, but there's a lot of things that Breath of the Wild does that just drive me nuts and make it difficult for me to truly enjoy the game. It's one of those games where once I'm playing it, I'm fine, but it's hard to work up the enthusiasm to actually start playing it because I'm like, I should play Breath of the Wild, and then I think of the myriad things that just irritate me about the game. I'm like, I don't wanna. I did eventually complete the game though, so. Cat was asking about the Advance Wars art style. I touched on this earlier, but I don't like what they've done with the unit and background art. The character portraits and the little the 2D animations that the commanders, whatever they're called, do when they do their special attacks, those are gorgeous. But the actual unit and background art, really don't like it. Looks kind of like a cheap mobile game to me. And again, it's not the cartooniness of it. It should be cartoony. I just don't like specifically what it looks like. It just doesn't Does not bring me joy. Okay, so that's enough Nintendo. So let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett and why it's bad. Now, when I say it's bad, what I'm referring to specifically is story structure and story. There's a lot of cool stuff in Book of Boba Fett. There's a lot of technical stuff that works really well. There's some exciting action. There's a lot of stuff that looks cool. You know, it stars cool characters and actors who are cool. You know, Tamora Morrison is cool, and Ming-Na Wen is cool. And Boba Fett is cool, and Fennec Shand, and the Mandalorian, and Rancor is cool. And Kevin the Wookiee is cool. You know? But, I didn't like the show. To me, it is easily the worst of the live-action Star Wars TV shows. I talked about the structure in weeks past due to the earlier episodes. I think it really would have been better served just with linear telling. Just start with them getting out of the Sarlacc and his time with the Tuskens, and then move on from there. Because it's the first 2 or 3 episodes switch back and forth between that and present day for no narratively satisfying reason that I can detect. Like, normally when you flash back to something, you do it because what you're flashing back to informs or recontextualizes what's happening at present. And Book of Boba Fett doesn't. Nothing that happens in the flashback is recontextualizing or informing what's happening in the present. It's just switching back and forth for no reason that I can discern. Also, the storytelling is unbelievably awful. That is some bad storytelling. I joked about this earlier, in that Boba Fett is terrible at his job, like at what he's trying to do. Also, the character seems to be completely unmotivated. He wants to take over Jabba and become a crime lord. Why? And crime of what? What crimes are you going to commit? He doesn't seem to be interested in the spice trade. Why? What crimes are you going to do? Why do you want to take over? Did you just feel like it? Okay. You've got, like, I mean, he starts out with 2 guys, then he hires the 2 Gamorrean guards, who, I should point out, failed to protect their last 2 bosses. So maybe not the best hire, Boba. Oh, we should kill them. No, let's hire them. Really? Because they're bad at their jobs. Under their watch, Jabba died. Under their watch, you killed the last guy, Bib Fortuna. They're not very good at their jobs. Maybe don't hire them. You don't have to kill them, but maybe don't hire them. Jabba ruled with fear. I'm going to rule with respect. By the way, have you met my Rancor? Who's under the dinner table? I'm just gonna walk around town with my helmet off. I'm ambushed. I'm ambushed again. This bar is under my protection. And it gets blown up. You're terrible at this, Boba. You're genuinely bad at this. I have lots of credits. What I don't have is muscle. Okay, then hire people. Because you've got literally like 6 people. There's Boba and Fennec. There's the 2 Gamorreans. There's 4 mods, so that's 8. There's Kevin the Wookiee, and they eventually pick up the Mandalorian. So that's like 10 people in total. I mean, there seems to be like 8 mods, but you only see 4 of them in the very beginning and the very end. The other 4 are the ones, I guess they're off doing their own thing or something. I don't know, but Boba, so I'm gonna be a criminal empire. I've got 10 whole people. It's like, okay, we've got a plan. All right, all of Mos Espa. He's like, the people of Mos Espa. Why do you care about the people of Mos Espa? The hell do you care? Why are these your people now? And you're not doing anything for them. You're making things worse. Now one of the bars blew up. Now there's a gunfight in the middle of Mos Espa. Oh, good. Now there's a Rancor trashing buildings. Now there's 2 big droids shooting at things and crashing buildings. That's on you, Boba. That wouldn't have happened otherwise. Oh, we need to keep this intact. No, that's a bad idea. Tactically, they're terrible too. Oh, we got friends. Cool, we can flank them, right? No. Let's gather everyone right here so they can shoot at all of us. Kevin the Wookiee, are you okay? Because you're limping. And then the next shot you're not. And then the next shot you are. And then the next shot you're not. Make up your mind, Kevin. Whether you're limping or not. Hey, wasn't Cad Bane cool? Would have been nice if they'd introduced him, like, earlier in the series and not at the very end. Super cool character. Sounds really interesting. Have these characters ever met? Apparently they have. I didn't watch Clone Wars, so I don't know. The problem, I think, is the show seems to think that Boba is a hero, is really good at what he does. He's not. He's not a hero, and he's phenomenally bad at what he does. And if the show had leaned into that, like this guy who thinks he's owed or thinks he deserves stuff and he just keeps failing upwards, I mean, that could be kind of satirical and funny. And, someone who just doesn't have a plan, like, I'm going to take over Boba or Jabba, and for no reason. I don't even know. Just because I feel like it. I'm not even sure why. Well, what crimes are you going to do? Run spice? No, I don't like that. Why? Also, what is spice? I wish they'd call it something else, because every time in the movies they talk about spice running, I keep thinking oregano. And I'm like, context is telling me it's bad, but what's wrong with spice? Do y'all like bland food? I'm guessing it's an illegal drug? And I joked about this on Twitter earlier, but maybe the New Republic should legalize spice. Might get rid of all the organized crime that seems to be specifically organized around the spice trade. You dumbasses. Seriously, I don't know. Maybe there's a good reason for spice to be illegal. But if there is, I have never seen it articulated. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does. I don't know why it's bad. But spice. We don't want spice here. Why? I mean, you sell blue milk at the cantina. Is it any different? Shouldn't I be able to go to the cantina for some blue milk and spice? And if not, why not? Is there actually a good reason why not? I don't know. Maybe there is. Again, shows never articulated it. Episode 6, I think, the one with Luke Skywalker. That was one of the worst episodes of television I've ever seen. The show was actually so bored with Boba Fett that it said, you know what, let's just do season 3 of The Mandalorian. And it completely ignored Boba Fett for like 2 episodes. 2 complete episodes. He wasn't even in one, and then in the next one, I think he had like 1 line. And Yeah, Din Djarin is much more interesting. So I don't know. I don't understand what they're doing with the Luke Skywalker effect because it's still bad. I mean, it's better than it was at the end of Mandalorian season 2 in that it if you're not looking for it or if you're not paying close attention, you could not realize you're looking at an effect. Instead, you're just looking at a very stiff wooden performance by someone who doesn't really look like Mark Hamill. I don't understand this effect. I mean, it's a lot more seamless than it was in season 2 Mandalorian, but it still doesn't look like Mark Hamill. It looks like Mark Hamill's stand-in. So why not just recast the role? Just cast someone who looks a bit like Mark Hamill and can give a good performance, because holy biscuits, the writing didn't help, but the performance is awful. And if it's the same as it was last season, it's the audio performance is digital. It's an AI that's doing it, which is probably why it's so stiff and awful. Also, it makes the Jedi look bad, and the Jedi are bad, which is why Luke was right later in the series when he's like, the Jedi need to end. Yeah, they're awful. But that's not this story. And it has nothing to do with this story. So it's completely superfluous. All that crap about Mandalore and the Darksaber and has absolutely nothing to do with the Book of Boba Fett. Not a damn thing. He does use the Darksaber, but all the lore you learn about it does not come up. Has no bearing on the actual story we're telling. They changed the name of, whatever's place to Freetown, probably because no one can remember the name of the place anyway. Okay. Oh, they're gonna come defend Mos Espa. Why? What's the relationship between them and Mos Espa? That's never articulated. You know the one lady that one of the mods works with? Maybe if they had ever met each other, that might have meant something, but they'd never met each other. In fact, when the Freetown crew showed up, it took me a moment to realize who the hell they were. I only realized who the hell they were because who else could they have been? And I love this. I don't love, but I was really stunned by the scene where Fennec explains the plan to both Boba and the Mandalorian, even though they should totally already know. She's like, okay, we've only got 7 other people, so we put the 2 Gamorrean guards at the south side of town, and we put the 4 mods just kind of driving around the east side of town, and Chrysanthemum, the Wookiee, or Kevin, whatever his name is, he's on the north side of town. There's no east side of town, so we've got our bases covered. We've got 7 guys for the entire city of Mos Espa. They'll never get in. If they try and get in, we'll see them coming. It's this is stupid. And of course it doesn't work. But the show doesn't seem to realize that it doesn't work because it's stupid. You know? What is the Book of Boba Fett referring to? He doesn't have a book, or a diary, or a journal. It doesn't even seem to be referring to any type of code or creed, because he doesn't seem to have that either. Cad Bane, or whatever his name is I knew you were, here's my final lesson to you. You gotta be a loner and look out for yourself. And normal storytelling would be his friends come and help him. It's no, I have friends. Haha, power of friendship. No, he just kills him himself. It's oh, well, I guess he was right. Okay. Oh, and Fennec goes in. You know how um, the Syndicate killed Boba's adopted family? Yeah, Fennec just goes and kills him. It's fine. No one cares. Okay. I was never bored watching the Book of Boba Fett, but good God, that is some of the worst storytelling I have seen in a while. It does everything wrong. It is so amazing. I mean, now some of the other Disney stuff has this problem with like, I don't know if they're just organizing their shows based on week to week Twitter engagement or something. It's like, oh, we have to hold this thing off until episode 4, and then we'll do this thing in episode 5 so that we can get the week to week Twitter engagement instead of doing what would actually work for the story. You know, wouldn't Hawkeye have worked better if the Kingpin had been, introduced earlier in the show? Yes. But it feels like they just wanted, oh no, we're going to save him for the very end of episode 5 and then he'll just be in episode 6. And it's like, that's a bad way of doing that. Same thing with Cad Bane here. Would have worked a lot better if he had shown up in at some point earlier. Why were the Hutts even there? They show up once and they're like, haha, I sent a bad guy after you. And then they show up, they're like, we're sorry, we're gonna leave. Okay. Boba promised Kevin the Wookiee the back to tank, but Freetown Man got in it instead, which they act like that was supposed to be a surprise, but he got shot in the shoulder, so I think everyone assumed he was alive. I mean, there is a line of dialogue. He was shot in cold blood, which does, I guess, kind of implies dead, but at least Kevin the Wookiee got a fruit out of it, so that's nice. Should have been called Boba Fett's Diary. There you go. Hey, Firelight. Once they legalize spice, KFC will pop up in Mos Eisley. There you go. When Mando uses the dark saber on the droid's force field multiple times, I'm like, dude, it didn't work the first time. Yeah, it's like, it doesn't work. Mando, the dark saber feels heavy. Armor, yeah, because you don't know how to use it. Stop fighting it. Me, what? It's magic. It is weird. The dark saber just gets heavier because you are not... What? I mean, okay. So did Moff Gideon get to really know his darksaber? I don't know. I'm fine with. It's Star Wars. It's fine. It's fine. The show is bad. Again, I was never bored. But yeah, the structure was not good, and the storytelling was awful. So better luck next time, I suppose. All right, 8 o'clock. So that's enough complaining. It's an hour of complaining. So tomorrow we will do something I like, which is play more Trails in the Sky SC. Agate is not on our party, so that's nice, but neither is Tita, which makes me very sad because she just got a new version of her Vitality Cannon, I think it's called, and it's like really good, to the point where it's like, oh, I may not need to dedicate anyone to healing anymore because that just it like targets everyone within a certain area, but a pretty generous area. It gives them all 3,500 HP, increases their HP by 3,500, and cures all ailments and debuffs. I'm like, wow. but she's not in our party right now, so that's a shame. It was funny, last week was another one of those weeks where I got caught in a cutscene and never got to do anything. Because we just got Thunder God Kick for Zin. I was like, oh, cool, can't wait to try this out. And we go into the mine and there's no enemies in there. None whatsoever. And then we walk into a cutscene and we're there for the next 45 minutes. And I'm like, okay, once we finally get out of the cutscene, it's like 5 minutes after 5. I'm like, okay, let's just run out of town real quick and fight a monster just so we can try this new skill. No, it won't let you leave town right now. So, tomorrow, noon Pacific Standard Time, we're going to play Trails in the Sky SC. We'll fight some monsters, I'm sure, and we'll try out Zin's new Thunder God Kick. I'm sure it will be fun. So, I hope you enjoyed Book of Boba Fett much more than I did. Again, I didn't hate it. I just didn't think it was good. So, that's it out of me. Happy Valentine's Day Eve. I hope you have lots of love and chocolates and candy and stuff like that to look forward to in the upcoming days. And till then, hope to see you tomorrow, noon Pacific Standard Time, for some gaming goodness. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.